Welcome back to another episode of Girlfriends Without Benefits. I had to press record really, really quickly because Kaylin's like, where do we see this going? What are we going to talk about? How are we going to do this? I'm like, this is not how we do this, and record.
As per you, she cuts me off and says, just go.
Exactly. Welcome to our private conversation about if you've never gone to the YouTube channel to see the video, you have to do that today. Today is the day. Oh my goodness.
Got a special guest.
Technically, this is a Guests After Dark episode.
And he can't speak, so you have to go to see the video.
Oh my goodness. Look at him.
Be still my ovaries.
I didn't let my mom sleep last night. So now it's time to rest.
For those of you who can't see, Kaylin is holding up the cutest
bundle
of baby I've ever seen, who has a ton of hair, who looks exactly like her husband.
Adult husband, which is weird because baby Anthony did not look like this, but adult Anthony looks like this.
Oh, really?
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. He had like white blonde straight hair.
Oh yeah, no, not this kid. This kid's like olive complexion, brown hair, and I'm not going to spoil the rest for you. Go to YouTube channel.
Exactly. Oh, you have to.
But today, in honor of Kaylin and her lady bits, we're going to talk about the process of birth.
Really, guys. The good news is I'm in good company with two people who have also done it multiple times. So
yeah, there's a lot of birthing between the three of us.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I think collectively we're done.
We are done. And every story is just a brand new story. There's no two birthing stories that are the same. So it's like the first time every time.
Yeah.
Feels like the first time.
Yeah, no, for sure. Cass, because each of yours were all different too, right?
Dramatically.
Yeah. And I can say that with great certainty that mine were
and then Jade, your handful of births were all different, right?
Yeah, my small army of births they were all different. I mean, similar in that I was induced with all four. And so they all were born within 2 hours of each other, which is not Kaylin's story. So again, just proving every story is different, but I am getting ahead of myself. So where do we start? Like, Kaylin, I think maybe you should give like a 3 or 4 minute. I mean, that's going to be hard.
I mean, I could try. Yeah. But like 3 days of birth into 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Because that's the spoiler alert. This was the labor of the
marathon.
Oh my!
How long was it? Did you add it all together?
So my water broke at 3:30 on Saturday, and he wasn't born until 6:02 on Monday.
So you had a birth story like Diana's.
It was a whole journey. Yeah.
But to make it crazier, you were on Pitocin.
Yeah. So they let me go 12 hours. I started contracting within like 30 minutes of my water breaking. And they had me go about 12 hours just to see what would happen. And I had no change in 12 hours.
What would happen?
Which my first one, I had him within 17 hours and I was induced from start to finish. 17 hours. He was out. So totally different. And we were thinking like, oh my God, my water broke. I'm having these consistent contractions. Like, this is going to be fast. And we even waited, like the triage nurse that we called to say like, I think my water broke. They were even like, you should like, how long was your last labor? And I was like, well, it was this long. And she's like, you probably don't want to wait too long to come to the hospital. This isn't going to take very long. And even then we waited like 3 hours before we got to the hospital. Cause I was like, I ain't doing this at the hospital. I'd rather do this at home. Well, this joke's on me. So like the theme of the year is surrender, and it was just like another surrender. So anyway, yeah, I was having active contractions for 12 hours and they checked me and I had no change.
Wow.
No,
like the worst news of your life.
It really is.
Nothing. Yeah. You're like, oh,
you just weep, like the devastation in that moment is heavy.
I wasn't even though.
It was just
no. I kind of go to this like very primal state when I'm in labor.
Aries
And
queen,
so,
baby. Yeah.
yeah, I like, it's like an out of body experience is the only way I can describe it. And like there's no like space or room for emotions or feelings in that. And it's just very much like I have one job to do right now. It's my right angled cross of Maya. I need to see this through to completion. So like, how are we gonna get this completed? Is like literally where I go. So the doctor, and I'm thankful that the doctor, I didn't see my OB, who was the only doctor in the practice I saw my whole pregnancy because I was supposed to be induced, and he had scheduled an induction for his day. He had 2 days on, and he was like, I'll put you on the schedule and we'll have a baby with me.
Nope. Just
Nope.
kidding.
So I'm thankful though that the doctor who suggested the Pitocin was like a very gentle, sweet, kind woman. And she had established herself early on when I first met her as someone that was like, we're just going to go with the flow with you and you can make the decisions. Like you're in the driver's seat. So when she brought it up, it was like, sure. If you like, I trust you in your medical experience. If you think that this is a good idea to put me on Pitocin to get things, you know, productive, I trust you. Like, let's do it. So fast forward another 12 hours. And it took 12 hours to reach the max amount of Pitocin that they were able to give me, which was 30. And at that point,
A lot.
which is a lot.
Uh-huh.
I didn't really understand in the moment. They just like kept bumping it up and bumping it up and bumping it up. And I wasn't in pain. And they were like, why are you not?
Why are you not? I couldn't understand that either.
The
Yeah.
good news is because they started off small, her adrenaline was able to keep up with the Pitocin. So like from a birth science perspective, that's what's happening. Because like generally they'll start someone at 15 to progress it quicker unless you ask for a low dose. And then when they start at that 15, your adrenaline and your Pitocin or oxytocin, with the natural hormone in the body, if there's a discrepancy, that's where the pain gap is. So
Oh, okay. That makes
they
sense.
started you at like a baby dose was made me so happy.
2.
Exactly.
Yeah, they started at 2 and they went up by increments of 2
Mhm.
for another 12 hours until they hit 30. And then I was maxed out, but thank the Lord, the doctor came in to like check on me an hour later. And I was having consistent contractions like every 2 minutes apart. And I like had to breathe through them. And he was like, okay, we're doing something now. And he checked me and I had dilated a couple centimeters. And he was like, okay, now they're actually working. So at that point, he was like, so now we know you're dilating. Now we know things are working. He's like, you have a strong mind. You have a strong body. But he's like, you have been awake for an entire day.
Mhm.
You need to sleep. So if you're not going to be able to sleep through these things at this point, it was like, 4, 5 o'clock. No, it was like 5 o'clock at night on Sunday night. He's like, if you're not going to be able to sleep through this, like, I don't know if you're going to be able to push this baby out as fast as you want to. And so I was like, all right, I'll take an epidural. Let me get a nap in here before I push this baby out. Cause I know like, this is just the beginning, baby comes and then you are, sleepless for the next 18 years. So like, this is just the beginning of time.
It's like your last supper.
Jade, does it end as soon as they turn 18 or does it continue to like 24 or 20?
I don't know.
You still can't sleep at 24?
No, I can. No. But yeah. Anyway. So
yeah. So it was just a much better experience though, because like with my last one in the hospital, it was like I was told what to do. Like there was no choice. It was like, we're doing this, and then we're doing this, and then we're doing this. And the only thing that they really respected me on was the fact that I told them, do not offer me an epidural. I will tell you when I want one. And so my first experience, they didn't offer. I told them when I was ready. And so with this one, but like they wouldn't let me get out of bed after they broke the water with the last one. So I had to like labor sitting in bed with a head against my pelvis. Like,
no.
In what world does that make sense?
No sense.
Yeah. But again, when it's your first time, like you don't know to say like, this doesn't seem right. Like I'm going to walk around my hospital room and you can clean up after me. Like you just don't know if they're telling you what you have to do. And you're like, okay, my little need to follow directions. I'm like, well, I guess this is what I have to do. So, but this time, so the doctor suggested that so I could get rest. He leaves the room and the nurse is like, I know that you wanted to be the one to suggest it and you didn't suggest it. So are you sure that you want to do this? You don't have to do this. And like, I've never experienced a nurse basically like backhanding a doctor ever, but she was like, you don't have to do this. Like, if you want to wait and try and sleep through these, you can do that. And I was like, thank you. But there's about to be a shift change and I don't know who my next nurse is. So let's do this. So it was good. It was good. The whole process was just like so amazing. But even, up until like pushing, like I was ready to go at 11 p.m. So got my epidural just before 7, was fully dilated, ready to push at 11. My doctor delivered 12 babies that night.
Wow.
And yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And he had 3 of us that were ready to push all at the same time. Because I was there longer, he was going to go with me first. So they had me ready to go. Well, this one woman had a small baby and the baby was like in distress. And so he had to rush over there to like help her quick. And in that time, this lovely little human went from a +2 back to a 0.
No.
They had me sitting up and he literally wiggled his way back up. And so in the hour that it took for this other baby to be born and the doctor to come back to me, he checked me one more time and he was back up to a 0. And he's like, I'm not making you push him down. So he's like, well, you can go take another nap and we'll check you again in a few hours.
Kennedy's like, it's not my time yet.
Exactly. I'm not supposed to be a projector. I have to wait. Every time
like my mama.
I would text Jade and Cass like, okay, like I'm dilated, gonna push, and they would like say me like, okay, he's gonna be this, and this, and then you'd be like, no, I'm not.
We kept putting the new times in. I'm like, okay, this is what I know for sure. We know he's got his moon in Cancer. We know that.
Yay, yeah. Moon in Cancer.
So funny. So anyway, by the time I finally got to take a really good nap after that whole experience, it was like 1 o'clock or 1 a.m. When I finally got to like go back to sleep. And then by like 4:30, I was like, I have to push now. So my nurse came in and I ended up having a bomb night nurse that night on top of a bomb nurse during the day. So it was just like it was a good experience. Pushed him out. It was so fast. It was quick. So it was just good. Totally different than Hayden, but way better. And the best part is he wasn't in the NICU.
I know. That's beautiful. I think this is a good time, don't you think, Cass, to like back up and talk about, we kind of alluded to a session we had with Birdie.
Yeah.
And some words that she had for you and how you like manifested and spent so much intentional time just making sure Kennedy's lungs were formed and just holding him in your womb and like making sure. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, or Cass? Kind of somebody. I think it's a good time to.
It was intense. I think my biggest fear having another baby was that I would have another baby in the NICU, because that was a really tough experience for me. It's part of why I, didn't have a second one right away. Right. So, then, finding out I was pregnant again, and the doctor was like, well, if it's a girl, we don't really have to worry because, you had a wimpy white boy, and then we find out it's a boy. And I'm like, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think this time I had a really good endocrinologist who helped me manage and control my diabetes to a point where it wasn't like my A1C was in non-diabetic range my entire pregnancy, which is almost unheard of. Like, so much to the point that the OBGYN was like, you have better A1Cs than my non-diabetic patients. And, he would make comments like, you should just be pregnant all the time. You're so healthy. It's like, no, sir, I shouldn't. It's not easy. It may look easy, but it's not easy. But I mean, those were all things in the natural world that I was, working on to make sure that this time, even though I was healthy with Hayden and I was within normal range with Hayden, but still he had to go to the NICU. And so, there's all these external circumstances going on that I'm like trying to fight with. And again, the mental game is so big too, right? When you're carrying a baby and you're growing a baby and setting those positive intentions and even just voicing them too. The whole time I was pregnant, I just said to my OBGYN, my only goal is to deliver a baby that doesn't have to go to the NICU. So whatever we have to do that, that's what I want to do. I'm willing to have a C-section if he's too big for me to deliver. Like, I'm not married to any outcome except for the one where my baby goes home with me right away and isn't in the NICU. That's what I'm married to this time. And so he was willing to work with me on that. And so, at the very end, there was a lot of monitoring and all of that fun jazz, a lot of doctor's appointments to make sure that the baby was still happy in there and I could still continue carrying him, and a lot of work on my behalf. But what Jade alluded to, so we spoke about it, but we had a session with our intuitive artist, and while she was doing her reading for the three of us, gave us kind of a warning that I needed to, and it wasn't necessarily like, she wasn't saying that my baby was going to breathing problems at all, but she basically said like to be aware and to look out for it.
And she didn't know about Hayden, right?
She had no clue.
No, she had no
Absolutely
clue. So for her to hone in specifically on breathing, lungs, that was the craziest part to me. But yeah, go on. So go on.
And that was pretty hard to hear, especially when in the natural world, I'm, doing all these things. And I think I was like a little over halfway through my pregnancy at that point too.
Yeah.
And so far everything was really normal and everything looked good. And so I was like, what the fuck? Like, no. And so that was really, for me, I had to like sit with it and process what she said, which I appreciate that she was like, I don't think he's going to be born with lung problems, but I just know that you guys need to look out for it, is what she said. And so I was like, all right, then I am going to just manifest that this kid does not have any issues breathing, that he is going to come out completely normal, breathing on his own, no issues, no visits to the NICU, nothing. He's not going to leave my side. He's going to come home within 24 hours. Like, these were the things I was saying and I was focusing on. Like, he's going to be totally healthy. There's not going to be any red flags. Like, there's not going to be any side effects of me having diabetes. Like, these were the things that I was just like, just completely pouring all of my energy into, which is completely draining, but I was like, I am not going to let this happen again. And so like, I'm doing what I can in the natural, and I'm going to do it in the supernatural too. Yeah. And so like, and I think again, having you two there with me also kind of pouring into that and seconding that and really manifesting that with me, I think is incredibly powerful. So find yourself some women who can stand behind you in those things too.
Yeah. I also see from like, even when you went into because you went in a week early, like there's that piece too. There was still, when I was kind of tapping in and connecting in, I was still seeing that hesitancy of like, oh shit, I'm early. I'm like right where Hayden was. Like, I kind of saw that mental process and mental spiral.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because I woke up the day that I went into labor, I was 37 and 37 weeks, 4 days. And I had Hayden at 37 weeks and 3 days. And the whole time that I had Hayden, they were like, well, if he just would have stayed in for a few more days, 38 weeks, and, this probably wouldn't have been a thing, blah, 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 saying all the things to really make a new
largely unhelpful. Yeah,
exactly. Like, we don't, like, why would you say that to someone who, like, the baby's already here? We're not going to change that. So that was in my mental game, was like, I just want to make it to 38 weeks. And so I woke up that morning, 37 and 4. I hadn't been having contractions for a day, which, mind you, the week prior, I had been having them consistently for an entire week, Friday to Friday, consistently. And I hadn't had them for a full day Saturday morning when I woke up. And I had this moment of like, I'm so thankful for my body. Like, it's serving me this time. It's doing what it's supposed to. And like through the day, I just kept like showering my body with thankfulness for like doing what it was supposed to and holding out until Cass got there and my parents were going to arrive on Thursday. And then it was like midway through the day and I was like, gosh, I really hope I go into labor on my own. Like I'm like, I don't know that I want to be induced. So I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. Like, thank you, body. You're going to get me through to where I need to be. Like showering my body with thankfulness.
An hour later.
No contractions. And I'm sitting, so I'm a glutton for punishment. And we got a new front door the weekend before I went into labor, and I painted it that weekend. And then, Anthony hung it and stuff.
You guys,
you did not tell us that part because we would have yelled at you.
I didn't tell anyone that.
So basically what I'm visualizing is Kaylin in a deep squatting position.
Well,
front door.
Well, no, I stood up. He had it over a table in the back and I painted it.
Okay. That's better.
I was standing and sitting periodically and drinking water and stuff. I was responsible in my painting. But that was the weekend prior. But I had one more thing I had to put, those little like door sweepers on the bottom to keep
the thing that stops spiders from coming in.
Exactly. Yeah. It will never stop spiders.
I was going to say, I don't think that's going to do shit, but
not with Cass around. It doesn't. So I needed one for the front part. So we went to the hardware store in the afternoon, and Saturday was a very productive day, which I also partly blame why my water broke, because I packed my hospital bag that morning and I had not had a hospital bag packed. And what did I say to you, Cass, that week? I was like, I'm not doing it because I feel like once I do it, I'm going to go into labor.
Yep. That's exactly the word.
And I was so confident that morning because I hadn't had contractions. I was like, I'll pack it. I'm not having this baby.
Ha ha ha.
Ha ha. But anyway, I was sitting down on the ground, putting that stupid strip on the front of the door. Finished it, looked good, was sitting outside, closed the door. I'm like, yep, this looks good. Stand up. My water broke.
Outside too?
No, just inside the house.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I literally just closed the door because I completed the project and locked the door. I was locking the door and my water broke.
There's a lot of irony in there.
There's so much irony in there. So much. I did see the project through to completion though. And so that gives me joy that he waited for me to do that. It was not half done.
2 generators waiting for completion. Like ready and go.
Because Kennedy has the same cross, right?
Mm-hmm.
Need for completion. In fact, your human design charts look very similar. And I can't wait I haven't even unveiled his birth chart to you yet.
I know. So. I've been on like pins and needles. I'm like, please, Jade, I need to have a session.
It'll be fun. Yeah, well, Cass and I are definitely witness to how strong you stayed through the entire pregnancy, and how focused you were. You were a true Aries warrior through this whole thing. And it was just, it was such an honor to walk through this with you, because you were just a model of what a loving mama can do and be for her baby. So
basically since the point of conception, we were right there.
Basically, yeah. This, for those that don't know, this baby was not supposed to happen when he happened.
No.
My cycle was thrown off by being, in the vicinity of Cass, as it happens every time. And voila.
And boom. As said before, bake for 9 months, and I don't remember what episode that is, but you understand.
Yeah.
It was early on. Go back to the beginning.
Exactly. Awesome. Yeah. Well, welcome, baby Kennedy, to the podcast.
Welcome to this wild world, buddy. You've got a lot of people that love you.
Oh my goodness.
Your fans.
Precious. Oh, you must see YouTube video. Oh, look, he just yawned.
How come when I yawn, no one goes, oh, look, she just yawned?
I know. I know. How come it's only acceptable to eat till you throw up when you're a baby? Like what?
Seriously. I'm gonna start doing that to the three of us. Oh, look, Jane just sneezed.
Oh, it's so cute.
Oh, great.
Anyway, thank you for having him on. Thank you for being, the guest star today, Kennedy.
Yes.
Yay.
Thank you for being born and being healthy. We appreciate it.
Thank you for doing your first podcast at 10 days old.
Looking good, kid.
Exactly. And we'll catch you on the next episode.